So to create a feature library, you'll want to open up the feature definition manager. If you've got TBC loaded, you can just go down to Trimble Office and the feature definition manager will show up there. If not, you can download it off of the Trimble site as a standalone as well, but I'll just open that up. And the first thing you'll need to do when it opens up is just go to File and New File. And all that does is open it up and allow you to start creating features. So there's a couple of different things you can do. If you have your feature library already as a CSV file, like from another software, you can go to File and convert CSV to FXL. And all you have to do for that is browse to your CSV file and then select the different features. Like if you got point features, you can select them and add them to points. If you got line features, you can select them and add them to the line. So if you do have something in a CSV, you can import them that way. Or if you need to build your own, up here at the top, you've got a place to do new point feature definitions, new line feature definitions. So to do a point, you can click on that. And the name is going to be the long name, like I'll just do fire hydrant for this example. If I can spell right. Fire hydrant, the code would be FH. So the name is your, golly, can't spell. The name is your basically description, and the code is what you would use in the field on the collector. You do have to have a category, and this doesn't really affect anything on your data collector. This is just to kind of manage the data inside the feature definition manager, so you could put different codes in different categories. I'll just call this topo. You could have everything in one category, or you could split things up. Again, just a way to manage things. And then this is where if you have, if you do want to put things on certain layers, you can go to the new layer here. And if you've got a drawing from AutoCAD that has your layers in it, if you save your layers as .la, basically .layer files, .layers, .layer, you can go to import, and you'll see here it's looking for a .layer file. So if you have different layers already in CAD and you want them to match up and you don't want to manually create them, just save them from CAD or Carlson. I'm not sure, I've never done it with Carlson, but you can save a layer file in AutoCAD, save it out as a .layer, and then you can import those in here. Or you could come in here and you could create layers with the correct name on it. Just type in here and I could, I'll just call it layer 1, whatever, but you could create your own layers and give it colors, line styles, and that sort of thing. But if you already have layers and you're trying to make it match with CAD, then that's an easy way to do it, is just save them as layers, import them in right there. So I'll just click on OK there. So then that will assign the layer there. If you have a label style, you can do the same thing. You can import label styles as well. Or, they're not going to show up in the data collector. That's more just making in TBC if you're processing your feature codes in TBC. But you could import those as well. And again, this is a TBC feature too. If you're building surfaces in TBC, you can check that box. If this is all for CAD and just making sure it's right on the data collector, then that's not a big deal. But you want the name right, the code right. Category is just internal here, but you will want your layers right there. So I can just click on OK there. And now that's going to create that topo category. I've got my fire hydrant there. If I needed to edit any of that information, I can edit it up there at the top. If I needed attributes, I can right click and I can add attributes for GIS data collection. For surveying, not a big deal, but for GIS data collection, you could do that. And then you could just go on and you could create more point features. So let's say I just wanted a manhole, sanitary manhole. I'll go sanitary. I already have my cap locks on. Sanitary manhole, SSMH for the code. Put it on the same category or different category. Choose your layers. Again, you can import those if you needed to. And click on OK. Now I have two different features in there, a fire hydrant and a sanitary manhole. So again, you go through and you could build them yourself one at a time. You can import different layers in so they match up. Or if you already have them in a CSV, you can convert a CSV to an FXL there as well. The other things you might want to do is under properties, you can change your preferences there to US survey foot. So up under edit and preferences. That way, if you are doing anything size-wise in here for attributes or anything, you're on survey foot. That's one thing I forgot to say. And then for lines, you can go here to new line definition. And again, same thing, name and code. So let's say I'm doing center line and CL for the code. Maybe I want it in a roadway category. Again, this is just really internal to TBC. And then I could also put it on the correct layer. You know, again, import layers in or create your own layers. I'll just highlight that and call it roadway and hit OK there. So I've got it on the layer. And then line styles. Again, I can import line styles. So if I go here to the browse button and look, it's looking for an LTP for a line type, or you can go to a .line style as well if you have line styles in there. If I go to line type, that's kind of the old TGO one, or line styles. But anyway, you can import those in as well. So depending on how fancy you want to make it, you know, if you're doing your drawing in CAD, it really doesn't matter. But if you do want that, you can bring those line types in as well. Set them up there. If you want, this is for the point that's taken. So basically, it's going to draw a line and it's going to create a point as well. So if you want the line to go on one layer and the point to go on another layer, you can do that. So I could send my point out to the points layer, and the line would go on the roadway layer. So I click on OK there. And now I'll have a new category called roadway, a new line called center line. And then I could just go and do another line. Let's say I wanted edge pavement. Code's going to be EP. Again, category, feature layer. I could put it on roadway or whatever. Line style again, point layer. I could put that on points. And OK. So creating a point, creating a line, pretty simple. Just your commands up there at the top. You also have the line control codes, which you can use to start and stop your lines. So that'll work inside Survey Pro as well. But like, let's say I wanted to begin, and that's going to be a B for my code, and start a new line joining. So now I've got a feature code in there, so I could go CL space B, and that's going to begin it, and then CL, 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 CL. And then if I wanted an end code, I could go up there to line control codes. I could do end. I could call this E in the line joining sequence. Okay, so now I've got line control codes begin, end. Then the other one a lot of people are going to use is a PC and PT. So if I wanted a point curvature, and there's different ways you can do that. I usually use a smooth curve, so starts a smooth curve, and I'll do PC for my code. And then maybe a PT, and you also have ones to close back in, like a closed figure, closes to the first point in the sequence for closed figure. I'll do point tangency and call it PT. And that's going to end a smooth curve. Okay. So now I've got 4 control codes, a couple of lines, and a couple of points there. So anyway, you just keep keying in as much as you needed to. And then when I'm done, I'll just go to File. You've got a Save button there, or you can go to File, Save, Save As. And I'll just put it on my desktop. It's going to create an FXL file. Depending on what version of field software you're using, you might need to use an older version here. If you're using something new, you can go with the latest. But if it says it won't read it, just back it up to an older version. And I'll just call this Topo. Store it on the desktop real quick. Save. So there's my topo feature library there. If I double click on that, it'll go ahead and open up in the feature definition manager. But I just have to put that inside Survey Pro and then load it so that it understands to do coding there. So let me open up Survey Pro. I'm pretty sure I've got it here. I've got the, yep, there it is, Survey Pro. Open that up real quick. So this is 6.60, so there is 6.61 is out now. I'm just going to run it in demo mode and create a new job. Just use today's date. Let's see what the settings are on here. Yeah, North Carolina 3200, that's fine. Finish, okay. So then what I need to do is go under settings and under coding. You can set it to use codes or descriptions. I'll use feature codes here and then browse. And there's actually a topo FXL that was in there, but let me go all the way up to my desktop, see if it'll let me go. There's desktop. So there's that topo FXL that I just did. Check on that. So it'll go ahead and move it automatically to the working directory. And then, you know, different settings you can set in here. Description shortcuts, description file list. We're using coding, so it doesn't really matter. I could do show suggested list automatically. I'm just going to use it set like that. But now that I've got that in there, now my feature codes will come up whenever I take a shot. I'll have codes in there and it'll use that feature code library. So it should draw everything up on the data collector. And since you're using Survey Pro and it works with layers and that feature code is done in layers, it should put it on the right layers there in Survey Pro. You're still going to need to process your features there in the office in your CAD software, or you could export out like a DXF out of Survey Pro. Either way.